Ceann Comhairle, yesterday a major developer, McNamara Castlethorne, withdrew from 5 public-private partnerships with Dublin City Council for the regeneration of a number of parts of this city, including St Michael's Estate in Inchicore, O'Devoney Gardens, Dominick Street, Infirmary Road and Sean MacDermott Street, all of them combined involving an excess of 1,000 social and affordable housing units, and all of them involving the provision not just of housing but of community and neighbourhood facilities in an effort to regenerate and revitalise these areas, which have been among the more disadvantaged areas in the city and in the country. Now, a lot of work had gone in over a 7-year period into bringing forward these regeneration schemes. Work with the communities in the estates themselves, work with the wider neighbourhood of the estate to agree the schemes that were eventually devised. And while, and in anticipation of the work, a considerable amount of detenanting has been taking place within those areas. In O'Devoney Gardens, for example, 4 of the 14 blocks have been detenanted, and similar levels of detenanting have been taking place in the other estates. Now, the position today is that the people living in those estates are absolutely devastated. Their hopes are dashed, that the regeneration that they had hoped for their homes and their neighbourhood is not now going to take place. So I have a number of questions arising from it. Firstly, what can you say this evening to the people who are living in those estates and whose hopes have been so badly damaged by what was announced yesterday? What hope can you give those people this evening that the regeneration will go ahead, and what alternative arrangements are going to be put in place to ensure that the regeneration of those estates is proceeded with as planned? Secondly, can you explain why the same developer was given the contract on all of those schemes? Thirdly, what penalty clauses, if any, were attached to the contracts and agreements which were made with the developer concerned, which now allows the developer to withdraw at this late stage from a public-private partnership? The concept of public-private partnership, and we had exchange of opinions on it last week, is not that it's a public-private partnership when times are good. It should also be a public-private partnership when times are tightening. And it's not an arrangement whereby the public end of it takes all the risk and the private end pulls out when things get a bit more tricky. So, you know, what penalty clauses, if any, were attached to those contracts? And fourthly, are there any other public-private partnerships in which either this developer or other developers are engaged in that we're likely to see the plug pulled on in the same way over the next number of weeks or months? Well, first of all, Ceann Comhairle, can I express the hope that that those schemes will be proceeded with without delay. And the difficulty now is that the estates concerned are probably worse now in terms of their physical condition due to the amount of detenanting that has taken place than they were at the beginning of the process. And we don't want to see a situation where people have to continue living in poor physical conditions and in a poor physical environment, and in circumstances where the hopes that they had for their homes and their neighbourhoods has been so damaged. So I hope, first of all, that arrangements will be put in place quickly to ensure that these schemes proceed without delay. Can I ask about if there is other news that we're likely to hear about public-private partnerships, either by the same developer or other developers? For example, the Finglas Village project, which I understand the same developer is involved in, is that project going to proceed as planned, or is the plug going to be pulled on that project as well? Secondly, there is a proposal which I notice has been withdrawn from the Dáil order paper in respect of the building of the Thornton Hall prison. My understanding is that the same developer is the proposed developer and proposed builder of the Thornton Hall prison. That proposal was to have been brought before the Dáil here for approval today and tomorrow, and I note that it has been withdrawn. Is the same developer proceeding with the Thornton Hall prison, or has there been a change in relation to that? And does yesterday's announcement in respect of the projects in Dublin City have any implications for that developer's involvement with that project? And I suppose thirdly, Council and more generally, what implications does all of this have for the public-private partnerships method of proceeding with the provision of social and public infrastructure? Because quite clearly what has happened yesterday, I think, will certainly dent the confidence of public authorities engaging with developers on projects of this kind if the plug is pulled so easily and at the last minute as it was yesterday.